You are now listening to the sounds of Milkcrates Microphones.
Right now, I'm going to introduce the man that we're talking to now, someone that we've been waiting for a long time. When we started this podcast, we made a list of people that we really wanted to talk to.
Big list.
And this man was at the top of top of this list. Very excited to talk to a legend in the hip-hop game. That gets thrown around a lot, but this is true legend in the game. Sacramento's own, one of the inventors of horrorcore, the one and only X-Rated
Yes,
Loke.
sir. Hell yeah.
Hey, peace and blessings.
Hey,
thank you, fellas. You never know, and here we are, 34 years later, and it worked, and I just feel blessed. That's the real way to put it.
34 years, 3 decades. Something that's an amazing accomplishment, and obviously for someone that's been through what you've been through and been able to jump those hurdles of life and still be here to create music and create content for the fans that stuck with you is an amazing feat, and we applaud you. We're so much respect towards you, bro.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much. Let me turn this alarm off that keeps telling me to come to this meeting that I'm already in.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. We appreciate that.
Coming up right now, it marks going on 6 years, coming up on the 14th that you've been out and chilling and living your life. That's amazing in its own factor. But you've been on a tear. You've been hitting up every podcast in town from 22 to being sitting down everywhere I turn. Every time I turn YouTube on, I see
X-ray.
Raided somewhere, and it's amazing to have you here. So how's it feel, man, getting out there and doing all that, getting all that recognition that you were definitely entitled to and deserve, and now that everyone's seeing you, they get the chance to actually sit down with you, just like you taking the time for us. We appreciate that. So how's it been?
It's been really cool. I'm a huge fan of the culture. I'm a fan of, everybody that follows the culture, has opinions on the culture. And so it's just been dope to be in my element because, who knew it would work and we'd be here 34 years later. But now that it has, I want to be around people who appreciate the art, who pick the art apart the same way that I do. That's what I do it for. When I sit down now to write a rhyme, when I approach an album, how I construct it is for someone to pick it apart. And so it's beautiful to be around people who want to hear the stories, who want to talk about the inspiration behind the art, and all the other details. I feel like I'm in my element.
Man, I mean, and you've been an integral part of hip-hop for a very long time. I mean, for this new chapter, if you will, in your hip-hop career, I mean, it's been amazing to watch you evolve and to grow in the world of hip-hop. A Sin in Heaven was just dropped August 23rd, very recently, still very fresh, about 3 weeks old, not even. What I learned on one of the tracks, Can't Hold Us Down, you actually relocated from Alabama, and I didn't know that story. Can you talk a little bit about, growing up a little bit in Alabama and then relocating to South Sacramento?
So I was born in South Sacramento at Sutter Memorial Hospital.
Got it.
And went, I was born at Sutter Memorial, went straight to the South Side. But my father was visiting Sacramento from Alabama, and that's how he met my mother. So I had a few opportunities in my life, maybe 4 times before I got incarcerated, to actually go spend time with my father in Mobile, specifically in Pritchard, right near Chickasaw.
Wow.
And which is, my grandfather on my father's side is an actual a native. He's Chickasaw.
Oh, wow.
And so it was beautiful to be able to visit with them and just experience the culture. The soil is different in the Deep South. It's different out there. The air is different. The dirt is different. It's just a different place. And so I feel like I brought that back to California with me, a certain energy, a certain soul. And speaking of Can't Hold Us Down, I feel like that's probably the best song on the album where someone can actually feel that, where you could feel the soulfulness of the South in that song, in the music, in the approach to the bars. And maybe that's why I ended up doing what I did to it.
Hey, man.
There's a lot of feel behind that song. I'm not joking. When you hear that song, you can tell there's a lot of
passion,
authentic. What is it? Authentic? How do you say that? Authenticity. Yeah, authenticity. It's there. It's definitely there, and there ain't no missing it. And
100.
The beat's fucking super dope. You sound great on the fucking track. There's no sleeping anywhere there. That's an amazing track,
dude.
Man, thank you so much. Yeah, and I mean, those are my kids singing on the chorus, my lady on the chorus in the background.
Wow.
My engineer jumped in there for me, and you know, it's really personal. It's very, very, very personal. The subject matter is personal. And I remember I wanted to send that to Scarface, and then one of my artists that I wanted to be on there.
Yeah.
And it just, you know, Scarface, Tech, was talking to Scarface, I reached out, and it just, he was on tour, and I felt like, okay, I was gonna pull that second verse off of there. So I, you know, obviously getting Scarface would have been amazing. But because of the schedule, I just felt like this is such a personal song. The best thing I could have done for it was to just make it family, throw that second verse on there and keep it the way it was. And I'm really proud of it. I really like it. And, you know, it's on my bucket list to get something done with Face, and I will, God willing, but I like the way Can't Hold Us Down turned out. I really, really like it.
Oh, man, I've had that track on repeat. I mean, the album.
Did that in several ways. 24 tracks for 2024. X is the 24th letter in the alphabet.
Awesome.
I did 24 years before I knew I was going home. I hoped it, thought it, felt it, believed it, but I knew in my 24th year, I was unequivocally, I'm going to get out of here. And so I think 2400 is the first track on the album, which is military time. That's midnight. Yep. So it's as if to say first thing in the morning, I'm early. I'm on time. So yeah, it's a lot of those things. 24 tracks, 2024, 24th Street, 24th letter, 2400.
Yeah,
numerology, man.
It's in there. Did you know that? When you I've heard about how you got the name X-rated and stuff like that, but did you know that? Did you go into that knowing that X was the 24th, or that was just something that came together? It's just coincidence.
I feel like that was a coincidence. I wasn't, because people started calling me X-rated, and then Lynch actually changed the spelling of my name and drew my first logo for me when I was 16 years old. He drew my logo, my very first X-rated logo. And so yeah, it was a coincidence, but it's one of those things. There are a lot of those. I didn't know it was going to be year 24 when they finally told me I was coming home. So, you know, it's a lot of those coincidences.
Sometimes
I got to figure out how to turn this thing off.
Coincidence sometimes is just fate. You know what I mean? Like you just mistake it as coincidence.
Coincidence
when really it's just fate. It was meant to happen like that the whole time.
I feel like it was meant for us to even hear your music, man. As a kid growing up, my mom had your album. That's how I found you.
Well, we're Northern California, so we're from the Lodi Stockton area. But like,
so as like a child,
you were one of our hometown heroes. You know what I mean? Like Sacramento is like a hometown to us. So to be able to say that X-rated or Lynch, like these people that are world renowned, we're saying like these are from our backyard. You know what I mean? I was telling people, I know this has been said before, but I remember in high school telling people like X-rated is the Tupac that, you know, he could have been the next Tupac if he didn't get the charges that he got and whatnot.
Yeah, I heard that a lot. People told me that a lot. I view all of that to be my stomping ground. That's our backyard. Redding, Chico, everything around there, all of that. Davis, all of it to me is home. And so I didn't know y'all was homeboys.
Yeah, we're from the home. And that's why we, you know, growing up,
I love it.
My
first exposure to you was that Orange album, the Black Market album, and you were on there. And then after that, I was like, where else is coming from this? And then I got my hands on Unforgiven. Then Psychoactive.
Yeah, our uncles and brothers and everyone was bumping
everybody
that
loved
Black
you.
Market and X-rated and all that shit. So we were like onto that tip. But did you ever find that kind of funny that kind of like that? I mean, because we're from the Lodi Stockton area, kind of suburban area, but like that suburban white kid type of feel, like started digging to what your music was, which isn't something that type of person should relate to in sense.
I think the fact that people consider me like if I would have been the next Tupac if I didn't get incarcerated, speaks toward the relatability of a lot of the subjects that I chose to tackle. I think in the beginning, you know, I laid my hat in the horrorcore arena, inspired by the Ghetto Boys mostly, a little bit of NWA in terms of horrorcore. I was a lot inspired by NWA with gangster rap and Ice Cube, but horrorcore I was inspired by what the Ghetto Boys were doing in their first iterations, like in the build up to Grip It on That Other Level and the We Can't Be Stopped album.
Oh yeah.
I was really the Chucky and things like that, which Gangsta Nip actually wrote Chucky. And so I was inspired by what they were doing. So you had this, as I was trying to find myself, this collision of gangster rap and horrorcore and all this crazy shit. Me being a fan of Hitchcock and Outer Limits and Twilight Zone, Ross Serling, all of that stuff. I just felt like I wanted to tell those kinds of stories, Tales from the Crypt, that type of stuff. And then as more people started doing it, I started asking myself as an MC, right around after Exorcist. So we go from Psychoactive to 24 Deep, Exorcist, and Season of the Sickness. And at that point, a lot of people kind of jumped in our lane and started doing what we were doing. So I'm like, how do I differentiate myself from the crowd? So I thought telling personal stories and being honest and transparent about difficulties in life and struggles and overcoming adversity, I thought people could relate to that. And I wanted to be like, maybe a better rapper and also a better person. And the education came with trying to study and get the vocabulary that you need to be able to write these songs. So I think once I started doing that, we get Unforgiven. And once you get Unforgiven, I think it was relatable to people from all walks of life.
Yeah.
Because everybody can relate to adversity, perseverance, that, me saying, hey, I got your back no matter what, this is what we got to do. We only got each other. Or speaking about having, being poor when I was a kid and coming from a poor background and striving toward having a better life than that, or having hope that prison wasn't the end of my life. You could hear that hope in some of the music, and you can also hear the fear that maybe that was all, that was it, maybe so. So I think people kind of really just rooted for and related to that struggle, that adversity, overcoming adversity.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
I love that.
Coming up, I always I'd heard you talk on another podcast about how you started making conscious rap. You made Misanthropy, and you feel like a lot of people started, kind of flocking more to your music. I feel like what brought me to you was Still Shooting. Still Shooting was like one of my favorite tracks you've ever made. It was super fucking hard at the time. I just knew it was something different that I didn't have in my lane, and I need to put it in there. I'm like, that shit's hard. I need to build off of this. I need to find out where he's going. And as simple as that, I knew for sure that you were something different, and you changed the lane for everybody.
But at the same time, like you were saying, like it was the first time that I think I was introduced to somebody that was on some gangster rap stuff, but was still super conscious in hip hop. Because later on in my life, I became more like into the Backpack or whatever you want, underground hip hop, whatever you want to call that. But like X-Rated always had a little bit of that. The Land of the Lost is a great song that shows your entire fucking versatility, the vocabulary. Land of the Lost shows me that like this, he is all angles of hip hop. You had that.
Papa Rob 7-Eleven, and now he's sitting in the pen, man. So good, dude. That's my favorite shit, bro. I ain't playing, bro. That shit hurts. It's a good song.
I meant that. I meant it. That's dope. I actually strove for that. I wanted to be the best rapper in the world. I really, really wanted that. Whether I accomplished it or not, I set out as a goal, because it's not a real argument you could win.
No,
it's such a subjective thing.
Yeah.
But I wanted to, whoever had me in that argument, I wanted to give them ammunition.
Fuck yeah.
And so things like having those elements of being a real MC, even though I use gangster rap as my default setting, because that was what informed most of my life.
For sure. Yeah.
And those were true elements that I put in there. I still always made sure that consciousness, that backpacker element was present. And I feel like guys like Exhibit with Paparazzi, Raz Cass, Tupac had that, Ice Cube had that.
For sure.
DOC before the accident, he had that. Yeah. So then when I was looking at the men that I thought were the dopest rappers and the biggest influences on me, Scarface, Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, they all had this element of toughness and strength, but they had a vulnerability and a sense of spirituality, and they were examining life itself. So I started to come to the conclusion that elite rappers, the most elite rappers, are almost philosophers. They're they're students and teachers. They're learning and they're teaching what they're learning. And I felt like I had a responsibility to do that. And then, you know, Tukey, when I got a letter from Tukey, he essentially was telling me that I had a responsibility to do that. And then Monster Cody was someone else who, and from them to be these huge historical figures from Crip backgrounds, for them to be the ones telling me I had a responsibility to say something that mattered, it really validated what I was thinking. Because I wrote the song Deadly Game about the 3 strikes and what happened to Polyclass. And a lot of people were trying to figure out, like, okay, you know, who wrote that? You know, between me and Sibo working on that song and then doing that 357 and the other songs that we did on his project, I ended up getting a lot of people coming to me who were shocked that I had that in my wheel well, because that was actually between Exorcist and Unforgiven.
Yeah.
So I had become Unforgiven X-rated, and nobody knew it. And last thing they heard was Exorcist. It's 3 years later by the time Unforgiven comes out. And in that window, I had already, I mean, Exorcist is done and turned in, and I already wrote Deadly Game. Deadly Game missed Exorcist by 2 months.
Holy shit.
Like, it was only 2 months later. So I was, once I went to trial, it got real. And if you think about Deadly Game, if you think about Do Spot of Life from Exorcist,
Such a good.
I think that was the first real song I ever wrote to where it was 100% completely about my real life as a human being. It wasn't about me as a gangster. It wasn't me as a Crip. It wasn't me as this character. It was like, Honore Brown is going through some shit. This is what it's about. This is what I'm not sure what the hell I'm about to experience. That song pops up on Unforgiven on Exorcist as this moment of clarity in the midst of all of this crazy horrorcore shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, that was the last song I made for that project. And boom, it all came together. We put Deuce Fight of Life on there. I move on and start writing what became Unforgiven. And people didn't find out that I had a misanthropy me until 1999. I wrote that in 1996.
Crazy.
And it's crazy at that time in your life because you're still super young. And those years from when you're 16 to 19, I mean, now 3 years doesn't seem like a lot. It seems like just yesterday. But back then, that was a huge, like, from when I was 16 to when I was 19, my mindset and my whole way that I was moving was completely different. You know what I mean? Like, that's a huge jump for you.
Big time. Yeah, I had a huge leap in my psychology from, I wrote the great majority of Psychoactive between the ages of 15 and 17.
Wow.
And then I wrote Exorcist between the ages of 17 and 20. And then I wrote Unforgiven between the ages of 21 to 24.
That whole album.
Like, I was knocking on the door of that. Actually, 24, the year I turned 25, it came out about 3 months before my 25th birthday.
Yeah, you're a totally different person.
That whole album, that whole Unforgiven album, amazing, top to bottom. Like, no joke. From the beats from Mortal Kombat, that fucking beat is insane. I'm like, for you to even come across and have a Mortal Kombat beat and then just straight kill it with the 50G contract, it's like, come on, the whole deal is amazing. And then, did you ever hear any funny rumors about, like, things that you were saying? That's why you don't see his legs. I'm like, everyone's got something to say, and I'm like, I don't think so, dude. But everyone had some type of story to say, but that album is a time machine album. Hands down, time machine album, and a lot of people do not make time machines, my friend. And you definitely made a time machine, so that's amazing.
Yo, you've been grinded for so long, X-rated, over 30 albums collectively, deep. I mean, that's a long time in the game. A humongous catalog. Going back to just being in prison, staying motivated to keep writing, making music. I mean, keeping your mind straight. What was the secret to that, overcoming these mental battles that you had to have gone through during that time? I mean, what is the secret?
Yeah, because that mental state has to be everything when you're in that situation.
For sure.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. I had to come to several different conclusions, repeated at different stages. And one of them, like you being deified, becoming an urban legend. I became an urban legend, and I had to accept that the train had left the building. So, you know, all the stories. I was basically Bigfoot, or they call it the Block Ness monster. I was the
fucking sick.
That's hell time.
I was the Block Ness monster. So it's like you hear all these different stories people have. I'm hearing about that. I wanted to set the record straight. That I was motivated for Unforgiven. I just wanted to set the record straight. Then I realized that didn't work. So now I'm angry by the time I get to Vengeance Is Mine, and it's an angry ass album of me just coming to all these different conclusions about life and going from being a child to being an adult who understood the permanence and the consequences of my actions and the actions of people around me, or the outcomes that I experienced, whether they were fair or not. I think it required me to really just go inside and get comfortable with myself, especially being locked in those boxes, getting thrown in the dungeon like the Count of Monte Cristo. You gotta be good with you, or you're gonna crack. And I could hear people cracking in my environment. I could hear the dude down the tier who couldn't take it no more, and I knew I didn't want that. I couldn't do that, so I just read everything I could read. I started studying the dictionary because of Alex Haley and Malcolm X. I started just really trying to understand what it meant to be human, and really just challenging my own belief systems and the belief systems in my environment. And I think I just decided I wanted to like myself. I wanted to be comfortable with me. That if I had to do the rest of my life in that environment, that I wanted the best life I could possibly have. So quality of life became very important for me from 98 to the day I walked out of there. I started understanding. I knew I wanted to do something different, but it wasn't until about like 04 or 05 where I made a commitment to myself. Like, okay, remember 2003, I did my last shoot term. Just, you know, over and over and over, I always had some type of investigation. They were trying to throw me in the hole, find a reason to bury me. So I think in 2003, that time the shenanigans was conspiracy to distribute a controlled substance, which requires possession for them to give you that. You have to have possession of a controlled substance. There was no controlled substance. It didn't exist. So they gave me a distribution of a drug that didn't exist. And I'm sitting there for 9 months, 10 months fighting that case. Damn. And I just, man, I'm in that cell mad. I was eating anger like steroids. I just worked out, read, wrote songs, and just tried to get myself together. And I just concluded, like, man, if I got to do the rest of my life like this, then I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. I'm going to have the best experience I could possibly have. Yeah. And that's when I got focused on education. So, yeah, that was when it mattered for me to decide to be an adult. I told one of my little homies this years later, and it was that year that I challenged myself, which was just to grow up. Just fucking grow up. Hell yeah. It's like you're a grown-ass man. If I'm looking right at you, you're a grown-ass man. And now, literally, I just got to decide to grow up. It's a decision now. This isn't, my body's waiting for me. My brain is waiting for me. My spirit is waiting for me. It's me now. And so I just decided to be an adult, to just grow the fuck up.
One of those things that sounds so easy when you say it.
Very hard to do.
And it's like you're looking in the mirror and like, what the fuck? Why can't I just do this? What's holding me back?
Speaking on your experiences in there, I'd heard on a podcast that you spoke of that you were making prison reform programs for inmates in there to possibly do other things, like as in rapping or possibly getting education. Are any of the programs that you helped install, are they still out there? Are they still, they still running them? Can you speak on that a little bit?
The crazy part about it, so right now I got Travis O'Gwen and Tech N9ne, the whole staff from Strange Music, working with RJ Donovan Correctional Facility, where I paroled from, to have me and Tech go into the institution to do a concert and to give a speech and make a donation for some of the programs that I was involved in. So there's a musicians group that we started. We started a group called ORS, the Offender Administrated Rehabilitative Services Group.
Hell yeah.
And then they created this beautification program, and that's still going right now to turn to try as much as they can to create a college campus environment based on education more than based on just being a place of punishment, to be a place of education. Because all of those of us who made the decision, eventually we know that it can either be a place of punishment or a place of education, but you got to decide that for yourself. You got to decide it for yourself, and you got to be willing to stand on that decision. But if you make it, you find out that there's this subculture right there in that same environment where people are taking care of business. They're going to school, they're learning Microsoft Office specialist certification programs and IC3. And I didn't even know that until I started doing it, until one of my big homies told me, take your ass to school. And I started signing up for programs and groups. And then the Menendez brothers, among other people, started like really, really going out of their way to make sure that I was equipped. I think elements of that environment decided for themselves that they thought I didn't belong there. There's people who just felt like, man, what the hell are you here for? You know, and I kind of became a project for a variety of people who just wanted to see me get the fuck out of there, man. Yeah. And so, a lot of those programs are still running, and we on our way back in there to do our part. I got Scott Budnick. I got a great relationship with him. I think he's an awesome dude. He created the Anti-Recidivism Coalition. They still go back inside the facilities to give back, and he's got people who parole and come work for him.
Nice. That's amazing, man. You're
amazing. You can do a concert.
An inspiration, I would say, man. An inspiration to all kinds of people. We have to get more into this brand new album.
Yeah, one time. I just got one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
One more, and we'll move past the whole incarceration thing because I'm sure you've been fucking beat to death on that whole topic. But through your whole time in incarceration, which was 26 years, correct?
Yep.
Through that whole time, was there anybody on the other side, on the correctional side, that, because I'm sure you met a lot of fucking assholes and we could talk about them, was there any good ones on the other side that helped you out and led you in the right way, or was looking out for the best of you?
And bringing you DAT recorders?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were definitely a lot of good guys in there who thought it was bullshit. Some of my experiences were bullshit, more than a few.
Okay.
I remember on the getting outside, there was this sergeant. I was still being a fuck up. I was getting high. You know, I was still drinking White Lightning. And this sergeant looked at me one day and he was like, hey, man, and this dude's a complete asshole. Ironically, the worst assholes, for some reason, just liked me. Mm-hmm. They liked me. And so this dude this big ass white dude, he's got his hair all fucking crazy, looks like he just walked off of Saving Private Ryan. Every day he comes to work like that. And he's like, man, don't you know one day you might get the fuck. Oh, he asked me why I was being a dumbass, and I told him I ain't never going home. What's the difference? And he was like, hey man, why do you really believe that? He's like, you got every opportunity to get out of here. There's nothing that says you got to be here for the rest of your life. And it's just this moment I stopped and looked at him. I was like, I fucking appreciate that, Sarge.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, Brown, you ain't got to be. That's not true. It's not true that you're going to be here for the rest of your life unless you believe it. And I remember, I never forgot that he said that. It didn't go nowhere.
No.
He said that and I went on with my life, but I just never fucking forgot that he said that. That was like 2006.
Some word.
And it just randomly just felt that way. And then counselors, I remember one time I transferred from one institution to the next. They used to fuck me over all the time. And this Hispanic counselor, can't remember if she was like Puerto Rican or Cuban or something, but she just read my file and got so pissed off. She was like, "It's so much bullshit in your file. This is bullshit." And she called the counselor from the prison that sent me there, and they just got in this big old fight over whatever she saw in my file. And she started just pulling stuff out of my file. I never got to the bottom of what that was, but somebody had like done some fucked up shit in my central file, and it really pissed her off. And she stood up for me, and she went to bat. And when I went to committee, you know, she handled her business, and I told her I appreciated that. She was my counselor for about a year, and then I moved on. And it was a lot of those kinds of counselors who just were good people, and a lot of the staff, counselors, facilitators of groups, the people who would hear us, you know, working on the 12 steps, things like that, those were the people who stood up for me, who went to bat for me.
Yeah, I only asked that question because I feel like it's important for the community to know in those situations. In a lot of situations, there are some bad people, but just like any situation, there are some really good people too that are in there for the best interest of you. Because my older brother did, you know, a small amount of time, but he always talked about one guard that was a really cool dude that always had his back, and that always stuck with me. You know, even after my brother died, it stuck with me, the fact that there's only one person that had his back, and it was a dude on the other side.
Yeah, man, rest in peace to your brother.
I appreciate that.
I would say for sure, to put that in perspective, out of the 11 or 12 prisons I went to, there was always those guys, but out of 100 COs, it's only a couple of them. It's 2 or 3 that'll be dumbasses, and they almost always end up together because nobody else fucks with them. So they end up trying to work together as much as possible. So you'll have this crew of dumbasses, but everybody else just trying to do their 8 hours to go home. I remember when I was at High Desert, and I did 5 years at High Desert while it was the most dangerous yard. The yard I was on was the most dangerous yard in the state of California, the most murders. If you look that up, 2010 through 2015, High Desert State Prison had the single highest concentration of homicides on that specific facility. And there was this big ass dude there. His name was Rainwater. He was half native, half white. And he used to come to work and do his fucking 8 hours. And he was just a dope ass motherfucker. The UFC fights, he'd stand there and watch the fucking fights with everybody. He didn't give a fuck. He'd sit in his chair and be knocked the fuck out and shit, lock the door. He would wake up and shit if the sergeant came or something, or people would bang on the door to wake his dumb ass up. So cool, he wouldn't get in trouble.
Hell yeah.
And I remember one time, just to give credit to him, man, I remember one time that his partner was one of those dudes who liked to pick at people. And he did some dumb shit. Whole building's in an uproar about it. And Rainwater went up to that motherfucker and told him, man, I'm here to do my 8 hours. If somebody decides to fuck you up and I have to have your back, I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to whoop your ass. He told him, we could hear this conversation. He was telling him to his face that he would whoop his ass.
Damn. And you wanted everyone to hear
it. Back.
Yeah.
But if somebody fucks you up, I'm gonna come to your house and I'm gonna whoop your ass for having us go through this experience because it's you. That dude was gone. That shit lasted like a week or two. And that motherfucker transferred up out of that building, and Rainwater got him a different partner, a youngster. And it was peaceful. Whenever they were there, we did our thing. We knew not to go too far. If it was something that had to get dealt with, we knew that, hey, you know, Rainwater's here, so this dude's getting his ass whooped today, and this or that'll happen, you know. But we knew how far to go to respect his G. So it was a lot of those kinds of men, in my experience, that were just trying to do their 8 hours and go home. And see you tomorrow, man, and do that 8 and go home again. And if we let them and they let us, we would have 8 hours apiece on that specific shift, and that'd be that, you know. And then you have your stricter guys. They ain't bothering nobody, but they gonna go by the book.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. And shout out to Rainwater for being a real G.
What a tight ass name too. Rainwater. That's my new fucking. When I tell people my name, what's your name? Rainwater. I want to tell them my name, Rainwater. That's a hard ass name.
Hell yeah. Dude, getting into A Sin in Heaven, I mean, this is your second album that's been dropped on Strange Music. You just dropped another album last year, A Prayer in Hell, but I mean, this album feels so refreshing and just major.
Kind of a turn back to old X-Rated too, I feel like.
I mean, this is a roller coaster, man. This is a journey from the beginning to end. I mean, there's ups and the downs, and you feel emotions. I mean, what's the experience like for you to create a track that's really deep, like Pray or The Sunken Place?
The Sunken Place, yeah.
Hard.
Fucking hard.
Yeah, those are two examples of my creative process. Sunken Place was a very deliberate song. Like, I knew Get Out, Sunken Place, Jordan Peele references. So I kind of I got a bit of a map, and now I got to just beginning, middle, end, and then make it happen. So it's a bit of work. make sure that I got those rhymes. You know, the rhymes are crazy, but increasingly crazy
Yeah.
as the song goes on for Sunken Place. And that second verse is it's just every fucking thing rhymes.
Yeah.
I didn't waste a syllable in there.
Multis, all multis.
Not a breath wasted.
Yeah.
No joke. Not a breath wasted.
Yeah, they're big time. I thought it was necessary to, you know, dealing with tech. You know, it's big about making sure that we're doing all the elements of dopeness at the same time. So I'm going to tell this story, but I'm going to link every fucking syllable. I'm going to still have metaphors and similes all at the same time. If you want to get into that 1% of the dopest rappers alive, Eminem's, Tech N9ne's, King Crooks. If you want to be up there, Kendrick Lamar's. If you want to be up there, you need to be doing all of that. So Sunken Place was work, but fun. And I remember I'm fucking tripping out when the lines come together and all the shit. I'm fucking cheering for myself, but it was work. Whereas Pray was a download. I got the beat. I listened to about 20 seconds of that beat. I told the producer what I was trying to do. He sent me the pack. I listened to about 20 seconds of that beat and turned it off because I knew it. I was like, okay, I'll do this when I'm ready to do it. And I went and worked around it. And then finally I started, okay, it's time for me to get this song out of my head. I kind of was walking around with it for a while, went to sleep, and I woke up in the morning and I had the entire first verse, all of it was in my brain. And so I'm like fucking crying and I'm trying to write it down in my phone. My lady comes in there, she walks in the room to give me my coffee and she's like, what happened? I'm like, I got the song. I'm working. I'm fucking writing this song. Call the engineer. I'm coming to headquarters. He's like, let's go. So I sent him the beat and, you know, drove over there and laid down that first verse, got the chorus, got the arrangement, got through half of the second verse, came home, sat on it, went back in the next day, dropped the last 8 bars, went over everything one more time. And he's in there fucking crying.
Fire.
So good,
yeah.
dude. So good.
Yeah, that was a download. That first verse was a full-blown download, and half that second verse was a download.
Wow.
And then I did a little bit of work on the last 8 bars to kind of, how do I get out of here? But yeah, sometimes it's a sunken place and it's a very deliberate effort, and sometimes it's just a fucking download. Yeah. Wake up in the morning and I got a whole song in my head.
Do you feel like a lot of your music comes as a download sometimes? I mean, I feel like a lot of inspiration sometimes comes from, like, what do they say, the muse? Just the muse, it just comes to you. Do you feel like a lot of your stuff is just coming to you, or you really have to sit down sometimes
and work with it?
I
think it just depends. And ironically, it depends on how honest I'm being.
Yeah.
It was music. Lyricism is the most honest place I ever had until I had kids. Like, it was the one place where I could be full of shit walking around when I was 25, 26, 27. But when I went and wrote a song, it was Land of the Lost. It was misanthropy. It was just an honest place. The most honest place I had was me and a pen and a pad. And so I think still, if I'm working on something and it's a piece that I'm deliberately trying to do something or prove something, those require a little bit of effort. But like Conception, Honore's song, that just fell out. Easy peasy, like fucking 40 minutes of work to get that whole thing out of my head, including the beat. Yeah. Like I went in there, beatboxed some shit, hummed some stuff.
No way.
Did a photo shoot. Damn. I came back and he fucking had it going. It was rumbling up there.
You hummed the beat and beatboxed some shit and he pulled it out?
Oh yeah,
that's
man.
Fucking tight.
A bunch of stuff on there. If you look in the credits where it says produced by X-Rated and Matt Phoenix, like we're crazy. Making those. It's been like that for a long time. Like, most of the Psychoactive came out of my head, or I would collect my own samples. And Exorcist, I beatboxed the With a Mask On beat.
Damn, that's tight.
The Check Your Bitch beat was for me. Want to Get High, I wrote the whole thing, came up with the beat, all of it.
It's amazing.
So yeah, like PTSD on the Sin in Heaven. Definitely Conception. A few of those, just me and Matt in there tweaking out, doing our thing, and we come up with some dope ass shit. And I might beatbox, like Feel the Roar. I did about 4 or 5 recordings of just beatboxing, humming, and sent it to him. And by the time I got to the studio, it was bumping. And
Damn.
he freaked it out. He turned it into all kind of shit. He'll hear something, be like, "What do you think?" As I trust him, I let him cook. And I don't think you can.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think it's fair to use the man like a mouse and not respect his ideas. Or I'm pouring so much emotional stuff into him. Same man that's crying when I'm doing Pray. Yeah. Who, if he tells me he's got an idea, I'm gonna listen to it. You know, I love working with Matt Phoenix. I think he's a genius. Yeah. I call him Ultron. He's like he's like Iron Man's computer that became a superhero on his own. He's like fucking Jarvis.
Yeah, like it's always nice to have a second opinion in music as well, to be able to bounce your ideas off of someone and then bounce their ideas, and then now we're working together, we're working in unity.
And someone that could create what you're talking about. Like I think I know what you mean, and they can make that shit. That's amazing. Yeah. Do you ever feel like going back and? I mean, I'm going to be honest. Some of my favorite music I ever heard from you it'll always be the phone stuff over the phone. Even if the other stuff, you know what I mean, later was amazing. Like, don't get me wrong.
It's just so unique.
It's just so unique. Right? You don't hear it ever. Yeah. Do you ever feel like going back and just saying, like, hey, I can redo this song now and make it fucking crisp? Do you ever feel like doing that?
Oh, yeah. 100% that's happening.
I would love it.
So I was waiting for the right circumstances. I feel like all the relationships, you know, time has done done wonders for a lot of us in terms of our perspectives, our understanding of how special it was that we were able to do what we were doing. I think almost the whole gang is back together. Like Meek from Metaview, We Talk, Willie, the producer from Exorcist, we're in touch. Like everybody, we pretty much got the crew back together.
That's awesome.
And so now that we've done that and we can do paperwork, we don't got people in the middle who pretending to know the business better than anybody. You know, we know what to do. We don't need middlemen to deal with each other. Our internal agreements can be one thing without, you know, by the time we get a machine involved in it, we're already dictating how we want this to go, as opposed to just turning in music and letting them tell us what they think is supposed to happen. So we're definitely going to be doing that. We got
hell yeah.
I've probably remade half of Exorcist at least already. And I got about 5 or 6 songs from Psychoactive remade so far.
Hell yeah.
I've remade about half of Unforgiven, because I got a process that I'm doing. So I kind of plucked all the songs that I felt like moved my life story, that allowed my life story to move. So it's still shooting. We remade that. Real guitar, real bass. We remade Everybody Killer, remade Fucking with a Psycho, remade Every Single Bitch, Check Your Bitch, With a Mask On, Look at Niggas and Triggers, remade Deuce Father Life.
Damn. Incarcerated?
The hitters.
Did you do Incarcerated? That's my favorite song of yours.
I haven't done Incarcerated yet, but it's on the list.
That's my favorite.
Remade Land of the Lost. Land of the Lost is done. Misanthropy is remade.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm down the street. Hellraiser's remade. The Hole is done. Yeah,
That's amazing.
I'm digging in. So now I'm in a position where, you know, it's one thing to believe in yourself, or to have people like you guys who believe in me, and people who say, you know, X would have been Pac and X is this, and I feel like I proved myself several times. But a Prayer in Hell and a Sin in Heaven did exactly what we needed them to do in terms of the viability of my ideas. I don't think this has been the easiest I've ever had it, saying, hey, I have an idea, and people are like, what is it? You know, tell us all about it. You know, it's different. It's easier. I don't feel like I'm convincing people anymore. I feel like I used to be in a room and I'm like, man, if we just remake these songs, my fans want me to remake these songs. I need to do a remake project, or I need to, you know, it'll be, well, we think this or we think that. And then be like, all right. And then now it's like, hey, man, I got this idea. And everybody's paying attention. Everybody want to know what I want to do. Yeah. And are pushing for me to be able to get what I want the way I want. You know, especially Tech N9ne, you know, he really, really serious about making sure that I'm on mission doing what I want to do. And, you know, I had some very heart-to-heart conversations with him about that. Like, I wasted a lot of time already. I don't have time to be off mission.
True that. Life's too short.
The answer to that question about difficulty with songs. Me writing songs to prove I'm a dope rapper and now it's bibbity bibbity bibbity. I'm doing all of that. To me, I can do it, and I'll do it, and I love to do it. I like to do it when it comes out organically. But if I'm just doing that because I'm just gonna do that for the next 3, 4, 5 years of my career, bro. I'd rather just chill with my kids.
Yeah,
honestly,
you don't need to
so
do
it's
that.
like
You've already proven yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, not only that, but proving myself to me is what I believe I need to prove is different from what some rapper who wants people to believe they're a dope rapper needs to prove. And that's that Tupac thing. I'm more of a Tupac and a Scarface than I am. I won't say any specific person, but just people who just rhyme a bunch of words, and that's their skill set, and they're dope at that. It's a whole lane for that. People who, you know, their skill is to show you how dope they are. And then look at this metaphor I just hit in there, but it's like this shit don't mean nothing. It's not advancing nothing other than you're a dope MC.
They're not conscious.
Cool.
Yeah, they're not conscious like
there's
you
no
are.
depth to it.
Yeah, they're not conscious rappers like you are. A lot of people nowadays are just out there to make a quick buck, put some chains on, look fancy, make their Rolex, get their watch, get their car, bounce out. You're in it for the long haul. You've always been in it for the long haul. Yeah. Now looking back at you, your game has been such a longevity. Such a strong longevity. I touch back on the time machine work. You got motherfuckers that can listen to one song of you and take you back to 2002, 2001, 1999.
1992.
You got these guys nowadays that are making songs that are such low, I don't know, like low vibration that they might be a hit for a second, but you can't touch back and be like, I remember those lyrics. They did something for me at this time, or this put me in a certain mood.
It's always been like that, but it's more advanced now.
Yeah, and then everyone's attention span's so small, they're only making a minute and a half songs. I mean, if you're making a minute and a half songs, that's cool, but for how long?
Yeah, and I feel like the reason their songs are a minute and a half is because that's how long a reel is. So they're not rappers; they're content creators who are making memes. That these songs are really just memes.
Right away.
They're just a quick 90-second reel, a chorus, so-called chorus, a verse, and a so-called chorus. Bang, 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 90 seconds. And the whole point of that was to get clicks and likes on a reel. It wasn't to impact someone in the way of a Marvin Gaye or I want to be remembered as a songwriter, as somebody who impacted people, who caused thoughts, to make people have to contemplate something, whatever that may have been. Pray is a song about the matriarch of my family succumbing to cancer. It talks about what her experience was and what our experience was as a family. And I got thousands of DMs from people telling me their stories about what they went through with a family member that they lost due to cancer. For me telling a real story, that's what I mean. Talk about a kid in the suburbs. I got thousands of them in my DMs telling, because
they've been through that.
Cancer don't give a fuck if you're from the projects or you from Lodi. It don't care where you from. It's gonna take you out, and or give it a shot. And so people related to that all over the world, and it don't got nothing. There's nothing gangster about it. The most gangster thing about it is it's not gangster.
I love that
it's just a
story. One of my favorite things about doing these conversations with my favorite artists like yourself is I ask a question in the beginning, and by the end of the podcast, I'm answered that question. And the question was, how did that song relate to people like me? And it's very, very simple. You just kept it real. You were just real. And nothing relates to people more than realness.
Yep, that's that authenticity we were talking about.
Genuine.
I feel like I was taught that by people like Chuck D, Rakim, Scarface, Ice Cube, Tupac. You know, and then the next generation after that, you know, guys like DMX, guys like Kendrick Lamar, guys like J. Cole, Nas. There's a culture, and Talib Kweli, there's certain people who like Everlast, you know what I mean? To just be some soulful motherfuckers. It be Jelly Roll's like that now.
Jelly Roll's sick.
Soulful motherfucker. And it's just something that every so often in certain generations, somebody will pop up that'll have that element in them. And it's a disruption to the popcorn bullshit, the bubblegum music that people are making. You know, Kendrick's doing it right now, whooping people's asses, essentially it is a requirement to be a Jedi. It is a requirement of the job. If you're going to be an MC, then not doing this is the dumbest shit ever. They're just rappers and content creators. They're not. They're in the.
You're good.
It's always been people like that in a way from the beginning. It's always been people who are just clowns. You have a circus. The court jesters will always be in a kingdom. There's always a lot of court jesters and idiots. Yeah.
True. Very true, man.
Unfortunately.
Well said, unfortunately. But, hey, you're a true poet in your own right, X-Rated, and you've been doing it for a very long time. As we wind down here, man, I mean, I have to ask you about this track because this was one collab I didn't expect to see. I mean, how did you get on that brand new Rakim album?
Yes.
The Sign of Seven. Not only are you on the track with Rakim, Method Man, and Prodigy holding it down, but you're trusted enough to close out the track, and you do not disappoint, man.
Not at all.
You really throw out the bars. I mean, how did that collab happen?
Man, one of the highest honors of my entire career. I have a great relationship with Matt Markoff, M80. I love him. He's my brother. I think the world of him, and he was curating that project. Tech and me and Tech randomly, just the two of us, hooked up on Rakim at a show, and we went back on the stage. It was really dope to meet him and just to be able to tell him what he meant to me as an MC. And to me, I was a little too young for Curtis Blow and Bambaataa. I saw it happen. Yeah. I rap was in my house. But like the moment for me was LL Cool J and Run DMC, Crush Groove.
Ooh.
Rakim Paid in Full happening.
Hell yeah.
There was just these moments, and then here comes Ice-T, Color, 6 in the Morning, and then it was Too Short, and then here comes NWA and Ice Cube, and nothing was the same. So I for me, being able to tell Rakim what he means to me and what he means to the culture was dope. And the way he responded with so much humility and just respect, man. Such a dope dude. And so when my name came up, it was all thumbs ups, and I'm like, hell, I'm not about to play around. So I'm like, story, metaphors, similes. I pulled out every fucking.
Fuck yeah.
I don't think I got a wasted bar. It's something happening in every line. All the O's I hit in there, and the Ozzy Osbourne, the Omen, call us the Omen, and I got all the O's hidden everywhere for no reason. A circle, a cipher, a round. I just went nuts, and
no wasted
they loved
breath.
it.
Yeah, no
you
wasted
shine.
breath. Yeah,
you shine on that track.
You shine
man.
for sure.
Out of everybody, I mean, I think you shine.
A tough track to stand out
Thank
on,
you.
and you definitely did.
And that track for sure goes. It seems like it goes up the stairs. You go boom, 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 and it just keeps going, and then you close it out, and you're like, God damn! And this fool, you did not. Like I said, you did not sleep. There was no sleep in there. You came through. You woke up everybody at the end of the game. You're like, what the shit? That's it, huh? That's the end. You shut it down.
Yeah, you can't play with Method Man. You can't play with none of them. You can't play with Method Man on a Rakim beat with a Rakim outro.
With Rakim on there.
That was damn near a job interview to me. That was a job interview. Be the real rapper?
Yeah. Hell yeah, you got the job, baby. You got the job.
That was a job interview. And I felt like that on the Joyner Lucas with Tech N9ne and Conway the Machine. I'm like, come on. You know what I mean? So I put this verse on there, and I tell Tech, like, all right, Tech's on tour. We're not sure if Joyner's going to make it. I'm like, I wrote the verse. I go in there. I lay it down. Tech hears it. He's like, this is insane. So he was like, I can't take that off. It's too dope. You shouldn't have did it. He's like, you shouldn't have did it.
There you go.
And so all the contracts for the song were done. So Tech, you want to talk about our relationship or why I feel the way I feel about this dude? If you're going to leave me on there, I don't even, just leave the contracts the way they are, man. It's hard. Joyner's a star. He moving around. Conway a star. He moving around. It's hard to get all these pieces. Tech just was like, nah, man. He's like, no way. This is staying exactly the way it is. Everything gonna be all right. Everybody gonna handle their business. And sure enough, all the paperwork came through. So the night that we left that Rakim show was the night I found out I was gonna be on that song with Tech, Joyner, and Conway.
That's awesome.
And I the same thing, man. I brutalized every bar. Yep. I squeezed all the juice out of every bar on that song for the same reason. Like we're not gonna play around like that. And I can't let you guys down, bro.
Yeah,
fuck that.
Truly. Hey man, every pitch has been thrown at you, you've hit a home run.
We love that.
As we wind down, just a last gimme question. Let me just hit you with the gimme question. I mean, I know we're ending out here real quick. We've had a great fucking time. But if I have to hit you at the house, you're over, we're hanging out. Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood. Which one are we doing?
Ooh. So, wow. I'm doing Boys in the Hood.
I mean, you can never watch the other one. You can never watch the other one ever again. The other one's burned now. You never get to watch the other one ever again.
It's one or the other.
One or the other for life now. We're at my house, one movie, we live together. The other one's gone forever.
Fuck.
It's a hard one.
Yeah, man, I'm rolling with Doughboy, man. I can't. Doughboy, Lawrence Fishburne, John Singleton. Come on, man. I'm rolling with Cube.
You want to see a dead body?
Winning nothing. If it come down to, I just want to be transparent about this. Nobody's winning nothing if Cube got something to do with it, and I'm voting. Nobody's winning.
There you go.
I love that.
Yeah, there's no X-rated without Ice Cube.
Hey, Ice Cube's one of the greatest entertainers when it comes to the crossover from music to movies. Somebody that's done it, and then just business in general. Like we always talk about hip hop and we love underground shit, but like when you talk about hip hop, business is a big part of hip hop, and nobody's done the business. I mean, there's a few people. Master P is one of them. But
Shaq, a little
Ice
bit,
Cube has done that business better than 99% of everybody in the fucking world.
He has
so
on
you gotta
movie
give
studios.
him so much love.
He says on movie studio.
Cube is our, and when I say our, as a member of West Coast hip hop, heritage and lineage, Cube is the closest thing that, or Jay-Z is their Cube, is the way I'll say it.
Yeah.
Cube is to us what Jay is to New York. Yeah. And globally too. Yeah. And I don't know how many people really put that in perspective and honor that he went outside of his lane, and jumped into movies, but created Cube Vision, created the Big Three, gave so many people opportunities and jobs, because that's part of being that kind of transcendent, iconic leader, is that if you look at how many people ate a meal because of that person's existence, that's a long list.
Oh, yeah.
When you start talking about Cube, it's a long list with Dre. That's a long list with a Jay-Z. So, to me, Cube is the closest thing that we have on the West Coast to a Jay-Z. Him and Dre, it don't get no higher than that as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, if I'm voting on who could win at Marbles and Ice Cube name comes up, I'm voting for Cube.
There you go. There you go.
I love that. We usually give people or we ask people recommendations from our artists. I want to give you a recommendation if I can. And it's just a hip hop artist that we were lucky enough to talk to, and I think that you would really like his music. His name is Sadistic. Have you got a chance to listen to this?
Yeah, Sadistic's been following me for years.
Ridiculous, right?
Yeah, I agree. And people should definitely listen to Sadistic.
There you go.
Thank you, X-Rated. We love that, baby.
You're a good man.
You're a good man. Hey.
Yeah, I'll just keep it 100. If it was trash, I would.
There you go.
I would say
keep on moving.
Always keep it 100. Hey, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Real quick, a happy belated 50th birthday to you, man, because that's a milestone, my
50
man.
50 times around the sun, baby.
Please don't retire anytime
double
soon.
The life expectancy of a kid from the streets, man.
Fuck yeah.
Double the life expectancy.
Hell yeah, bro.
Still healthy.
Yes. Fuck yeah, he
That's
is.
a milestone, man. That's a milestone. Congratulations. Real quick, last one before we go.
Yes, sir.
What does hip-hop mean to you, X-Rated?
Hip-hop means everything to me. Hip-hop is when people talk about ethnicity and you define ethnicity, it's culture, a cultural identity. And for that reason, I identified my ethnicity as hip hop. Hip hop is my culture. It is what has informed my entire life, the way that I see the world, the education that I've attained, the pursuit of it, what made me want to learn. Hip hop has been everything to me. Hip hop is everything.
Hell yeah.
I fucking love that. Thank you.
Great answer.
Thank you so much for that answer. And thank you for all the answers to our questions that you didn't have to answer. You didn't have to talk about your time incarcerated. Didn't have to talk about your music, but we really appreciate that you did, because it helps us. And when we talk about us being fans of your music from when we were kids, it really, it's not a joke. It's not a joke. We're listening to you, you know, in the late 90s, which when we were kids. Kids, yeah. It was a very informative part of our lives, and you were a part of that. And so doing this interview is something that I never thought I'd ever have the chance to do. Never. So it means the fucking world to me, dude. And really, this is a really special moment for us and this podcast in general. So we just want to say thank you so much for spending your Friday or your Thursday with us. Yeah.
And you made it easy. He made it easy on us. So it wasn't a hard talk. I mean, you're a good fucking dude. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Well, I was gonna say that it's easier to have conversations with people that are chilling and just having a good time, which I can tell you guys are from where you're from, because it feels like home. This is how we move. As long as people let us, we chill. Yeah. So, you know, thank you guys for having me, man. And my energy is the direct reflection of your energy. And, you know, I really appreciate it, man. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of your lives through my music, man. I really am grateful to have been welcomed into moments that I can't even think about, to fathom that I was in the room or I was in the car, that you allowed me to be a part of your lives. So thank you so much, sincerely.
Bro, seriously, it brings a fucking tear to my fucking eyes.
You've been a part of our lives literally since I was like 12.
Such a big part of our lives. So it's you know what I mean? This is an amazing moment for us. And to be able to meet somebody that we've looked up to for so long, and to be such a good guy as you are, it's really fucking special. So thank you so much. We have nothing but love for X-Rated. We'll always be fans of X-Rated. We'll always be
bumping X-Rated
and
always.
paying. We're always paying our respects to the
Fuck
X-Man.
Yo, the one, the only X-Rated.
Yes.
Let's go.
Hey, appreciate you, big
dog. Throw up the X's.
Hell yeah, man.
Hey, nothing but love and good luck to you, and can't wait to hear from you again, brother.
Fuck yeah, man.
Peace and blessings, fellas.
Be safe, brother.